Jigging technique, short history, and evolution of egi. Egi is a traditional Japanese fishing lure used to catch squid, and the art of using it is called egging. The original egi was not invented by a single named person. Rather, it was developed by anonymous fishermen in Japan during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868. While the ancient wooden lure itself was an invention of the people, modern egi and egging techniques have been heavily refined over the decades by major Japanese tackle companies, like Yamashita. This leading Japanese manufacturer revolutionized egi by introducing computer-aided design, known as CAD, in the 1990s and creating specific active retrieval styles, like the bishi-bashi jumping or hopping action. Egging, often shortened to egi, is the Japanese art of catching squid and cuttlefish using a specialized prawn-shaped lure, or egi. Mastering it requires the right equipment setup and specific retrieval techniques to imitate natural prey. The whipping rod technique can also be known as shikuri or bishi-bashi. The following are steps for catching squid using this technique. Cast out your egi, or better known in Australia as a squid jig, once it hits the surface close the bail arm. Let the rod hang from your hand and don't reel in at this stage, allowing gravity to take up the tension as if to sink to the desired depth or all the way to the bottom. Best location for a jig to sink to is just above the weeds. If you are getting weed on your jig, you're getting to the right depth. Those squid prefer a jig without weed on it. Adjust your count by 1 or 2 less if you are getting weed caught in the hooks. Weed is alright sometimes, though not every single cast. For best results, aim for 60 to 90% no weed on your jig. Aim is to mimic prawn's movements by jerking the rod tip upward aggressively 2 to 4 times in quick succession. This forces the jig to dart sharply upward, mimicking a prawn's movement. To mimic baitfish, lift the rod tip at a 45-degree angle. This will create a side-to-side action that looks like their natural movement. The pause and fall method. After jigging, immediately drop your rod tip. Reel in the slack line, allowing your jig to sink, letting the rod hang from your hand. This allows gravity to take up the tension in your line while it sinks. The tension on the line from the hanging rod ensures the jig sinks slower in a forward motion instead of straight down. This way it looks more realistic, like a prawn or baitfish in the water, giving you more time in the bite zone. You can see when a squid is grabbing the jig, your line will pull your rod towards the squid. Less weight on the jig, the less likely the squid will let it go. Repeat the whip and pause sequence to work the jig back up through the water column all the way back. Once you've hooked the squid and it's pulling and pulsating backwards, lift your rod quickly. Allow the drag to work and use the lift and reel down technique. While this action works, sight and sound. The aggressive hopping triggers the predatory instincts of the squid, making them follow the visual darting motions. Equipment requirements to use the advanced technique of egging effectively. This technique relies entirely on the use of braided line. Monoline has too much stretch to effectively translate your rod jerks to the jig, ruining the sharp jumping action. Line. Thin braided mainline, 8 or 10 pound, combined with a 10 to 15 pounds fluorocarbon leader for maximum sensitivity. Though 8 pound braid with 10 pound fluorocarbon leader is more than capable of handling most squid if you have your drag set correctly. The rod needs to be a specialized egi rod, usually 7 feet 6 inches for boat use and 8 feet 6 inches for land-based fishing. These egging-style rods usually have a parabolic style bend to them, as in the whole rod bends, not just the tip. The reel and drag. A high-speed 2500 side spin reel with the drag set loose enough so it clicks when you aggressively jerk the rod. This also lessens the chance of the jig pulling through the tentacle or ripping it off. Pro-level tips. Jig sinking rates. Let the jig sink closer to the bottom in clear water. Squid hunt by sight. In murky water, fish deeper. Color selection. Use glow or UV patterns for dawn and dusk, and high contrast colors, like orange or red belly jigs, during murky days. To follow a catch. When retrieving near the water's edge or boat, leave the jig stationary for a few seconds. Curious squid often follow the jig and will strike once it stops moving. Today, the Eggy method has evolved into a highly specialized sport fishing discipline worldwide, requiring dedicated rods, reels, and advanced artificial jigs.